So this is the album.
Thanks for coming.
Any questions?
That one
the album. This is the album.
Yeah.
I was
Okay.
like, now for real.
I guess,
Yeah.
Serious lifetime.
I guess do we just do this?
Actually, sorry, it's the last second thought.
Don't fall, please. Yes. I'm so bright.
Forgot about that.
Shit, we lost a day or so, a day and a half, like troubleshooting that, and then repositioned the mics to kind of do that. So fun fact in Progress Avenue, the second song, the first song we put out, the guitar tone actually changes halfway through on one side, because that's when I had to replace the cab. So Holy Man's Part 1 has the original sound, that should have been the guitar sound for the album, on my Emperor cab that blew up. And then we had to go to the 212 cab, so like, it still sounded great, but it wasn't the tone I wanted throughout, so we got as close as we can. So me and Chris Grimbeer, like, we co-engineered it all, so literally at his house, because the cab was on the second floor of the house, I'd be downstairs playing, and I'd shout at him, like, move it 2 millimeters to the left, play it again. Now move it another inch down this way, like literally micro movements, and shouting back and forth, and Chris had to keep running out of the bedroom to the stairwell, being like, well, now what? And like, for an hour, literally going back and forth. So like, we really, like, we tried to, the ethos of the whole album is to capture the best performance of ourselves.
Yeah. Of me.
Our best tones, like, up front, leave the least amount for post-production. There's no such thing as fix it in the mix.
Least amount
Fix
for
it in
post-production.
post.
Yeah.
Least amount for post-production, man. 3 years? You could have made it
No,
less.
there was, we can explain that a bit if you want. But
You know what?
we, for that song in particular, I remember vividly, like, at the cottage, it was the last song we were tracking of the day for guitars. So basically, like, my daily schedule would be like, wake up, restring 3 guitars, because I would rust the strings by the end of the last day on other songs. So I'd be my own guitar tech, like, getting my fingers started, restringing all the guitars, take a lunch break, and then, like, start tracking for, like, 6 hours at blaringly loud volumes, because I'm obnoxious like that. I don't know how Chris's ears came around. I think he was wearing earplugs, because he was sitting in the middle of the monitor.
Yeah.
Behind him. But the clean bits at the end of that song, after the piano solo and stuff, I was second guessing myself if anything was in tune because my ears were so shot. I was getting so stressed out. I was looking at the tuner. The tuner says it was bang on the green, and I'm like, it doesn't make sense. I'm not hearing that. And I actually had like almost a panic attack, being like, if nothing sounds right, I've got to scrap everything. I got to do it all over again. Nothing, like, if this doesn't sound good and this tuner says it's green, everything I've tracked up until now is out of tune. It can't work. Like, I was freaking myself out. So I think we cut it there, and then we started the last bit of that song for the next day or something, because all of our ears were shot.
I don't even remember if I was there for the whole song.
You were barbecuing outside.
I had to go. I was barbecuing.
You were making dinner, and I was there stressing out and like smacking my tuner on constantly and stuff.
Well, was that the day that we watched the Chan audio tree thing afterwards to like cleanse ourselves? Yeah, we did.
Being like, well, we can't play like these guys, so what's the point of even trying to nurse this? But the first time of that song was the most fun because that's the only one that we used Mikey's guitar amp. He had an Ignator Tourmaster that has a much more high gain setting, similar to like a 5150, so that one was a little more chunky and like suited that song. So I had a lot of fun for the first half, like really just digging in. And then the hardest song, funny enough, is the one that we were commenting on with the Philharmonic Orchestra. The first half of it sounds the best. Deceivingly, while that song sounds poppy and everything in the service, the chorus has this guitar tapping part that's really hard to stay steady on because it's not straight notes.
Yeah.
So it's a lot of focus on the chord shape on this hand and the tapping shape on this hand and let notes ring out and everything has to ring out over itself. And I'm printing the reverb, so I'm not committing it after, so I have to make sure everything's clean as it happens.
Yeah, that's what I said. It sounds like you have a sustain pedal on a piano.
Yeah.
Right? Like that kind of a sound too.
But it was literally the track count on that is embarrassing. I was thinking about scrapping the song from an album because the verses, there's a lot of clean picking, but it's an arpeggio pattern that's not consistent. And it's these tricky little chords, and it's an alternate tuning, so I'm not stretching to do weird chords, but it's a weird pattern, and I keep rushing or dragging, and it was kind of like the scene from Whiplash, and I imagine that guy yelling at me while I'm tracking. But that was the one song.
You're leading.
That was the one song I did at home by myself. That one, This Ends Now, and Tonight, the third last song, or the three songs that we didn't finish at the college, I had to finish at home. And it was just me by myself, like, this is the album tape, it can't be a demo, it has to be perfect, and literally any little squirmish noise or wrong rhythm, one wrong strum, I was like ripping myself apart about it. And that verse,
Yep.
that clean picking, I'm like, I can't play. I was trying finger picking, I was trying a softer pick, a harder pick, this gain setting, this reverb, everything, and because it's me, it's not everything else. And I remember it taking a lot of like walking away and like coming back to it to actually finish that. But there's that, and then I guess for production, because I had the third part of the question. The whole album was
So formal.
Right?
Sorry,
He's phrasing it like it's an essay, like, like it's a real lecture.
Yeah.
but
It's good for it's good for me. I don't know how it is for the rest of them.
Yeah.
Mikey's vocals are great. They're easy to.
They're insanely good,
Yeah.
man.
Thanks.
And that part was actually a lot of fun to like, because there was the last element of the mix. Yeah, we can have the loud snacks now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Loud snacks.
I was worried about those chips when I bought them. I was like, yeah.
Slow crunch.
Yeah.
Beforehand, we're like, oh, we should get snacks for the thing, and then Mikey's like, yeah, chips is a great idea. Let's have crunch at the album. No, so
That's the ambiance.
the vocals are great and a lot of fun to mix, and then anytime it's in the balance, Mikey would just be like, oh, can we try this or that? Can this be a little more reverb? Can this be a little more buried? This and that. And just getting his vision, because the point is all of us to be happy, right? So, bass guitar is pretty easy. We kind of track that throughout.
Yeah, bass is simple. No one gives a fuck.
No.
I'm only kidding because he's not.
At the same time, I don't think you're.
But at the same time, though, I did drill him really hard because he saw how he was engineering when I was recording, so he's doing the thing, so he knew how I rolled with that, and like I would literally stop him and take me like, you're rushing, and start over and like kill his vibe a little bit, but be like, let's not waste time here. And like at the end of every session, like his fingers were like blistering and like bleeding because they were like, there was actually like playing bass for a little longer than he'd like to. The star of the show was this guy that we booked.
Fucking seriously, right?
Yeah.
One take wonder, right?
Yeah, legit.
Yeah.
Like, no kidding.
That's what it was.
This man
Not
is-
even.
This man is a scientist.
We booked I think 7 days at Todd, our friend's studio in Trenton.
So we trekked out there. It was just me and Nick.
Me and Nick. Yeah, me and
Me and Nick, yeah.
Nick is the album.
So, yeah, we get out there and like I remember. Okay, not only that, we booked time off for the thing. We at that point we were opening like maybe 7 or 8 of the songs live, and he still had to learn 4 of the songs for the album.
Pretty much
so-
the end chunk.
Yeah, legit. He would be in my basement at home while I'm at work playing on the drum kit there and like learning songs a couple of days beforehand. Because either way, this guy takes a good day to learn a song, but he wanted like perfect for the album. So in between working 2 fucking jobs or something he's doing at the time, he was still making any fucking spare time he had. He's like, yo, I'm coming over now. Can you do this happen and this and that? And he would make it fucking happen. And despite like financial issues or just anything, like he made it fucking work. And then in the studio we get there one day of getting drum tones. And then we're like, cool, we'll bounce out. Like we got 6 days, we'll do like 2 songs a day. You know, we got 12 songs in the album, well, 11 with drums. So like 2 songs a day. The last song's a long one, so we'll save a day for that one.
Did you finish them on one day?
No, it's 3 days or something, 3 or 4.
3 or 4 days, yeah.
we're just like, cool, we finished these songs and it's only like 3 p.m. in the afternoon now. And we just kept banging them out. And the little funny bit is like, it was mostly me, him, and Todd at the house, but then Todd's girlfriend up here once in a while just to hang out and stuff. And I was being really OCD about the mics, being like, don't fucking move them, because everything has to be right. We switched out snares and stuff, but like everything had to be like, don't fucking move it, because from the guitar track and stuff. And then who's the guy that kicks the fucking kick mic? I think I was going to sleep and I was just going to like, I slept on the floor, I give this guy the futon. And I was
like in the basement of his house, and
did you cuddle the bass drum?
We slept in the same room that we tracked in, so it was
just
very
lived
like,
there and played a lot of Mario Kart.
Yeah, Mario Kart 64.
Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Classic.
Oh,
Yeah.
And yeah, so I fucking kicked it, and I was like, for 2 hours, I was beating myself up. Like, of all the fucking people, me policing, nobody to fucking walk around it. I'm the jackass, the fucking thing. But then in this ends now that we put out, when I got the stems, I'm like, oh, there's a rattling noise. And I remember in the studio, we're like, he tracked 2 takes or something, and we're like, oh, there's a drum key sitting in the hoop of the fucking bass drum or something. There was something like rattling in there, so it was like picking up in between every like single hit. You hear like, boom. And me mixing in, you won't hear it in the mix, but like me mixing in solo, I'm just like, it drove me nuts.
Yeah, you're freaking out.
I'm freaking out
You're just
about it.
listening to that one track and you're going, oh my
But,
It's that one sound that you're like, I need to destroy this, everyone will notice, and you're just like, who cares?
But like, you know, everything's hindsight 2020, and if we can change anything on this album, not his performance, but the means of having more drum recording knowledge and tuning and this and that, it would have done much more. We only had a top mic on the snare. We tried to fight for a bottom mic, but for some reason Todd was like, nah, only use the top because he replaced it with samples afterward.
Mm-hmm.
But we weren't going to do that. I tried to explain to him, he's like, nah, it's fine.
Drums sound clean as fuck.
But it was...
Yeah, they turned out really nice, Nick.
Really nice.
It was so much learning, so much troubleshooting, so much almost giving up of like, having to go and like just retrack it, of experiment with different plugins and this and that. It was mostly a bleed on the snare. Because it had everything in it, because it was just a top mic. And we play with like big cymbals, so like they're loud as hell, and they just cut in. So like earlier mixes of like Progress Avenue, every time he hits the snare, you hear that like on every single hit. That like it's distracting to listen to. So ultimately, in the end, we made it through. But that was definitely mixing drums. Once I got over that hurdle, was the toughest part.
And that's why it took 3 years.
Pretty much.
Just the drums.
From my no the drums we got done. That was the first thing we got done.
Yeah.
Second.
Oh yeah, that was the second
Well,
thing we got
8
done.
songs, and then
Sort of.
yeah,
the first
sort
thing
of
we got done.
second.
But I mean,
We did the
my
night.
favorite song that we tracked, that I tracked. Oh man, there's definitely some moments. Part 3, so the last song you guys heard, the 13-minute one, I learned the day before.
And had the guitar.
I had to record it.
Yeah, Mike's insane.
That was fucked. I was stressed out the most about that one, so I left it for the end. That was the last song. It took a day and a half to really get that one solid. And at that point, my hands were so like red and swollen and even bloody. Like I had just been playing so much drums that week, and it was really intense. What's that? Oh yeah.
You had your turn.
Yeah.
Favorite, I mean, definitely one of the favorite parts for me was in Second Chances. It's that song where earlier Nick was like, "Oh, here comes the emotional mic part."
Oh yeah.
No, he's
That was Mikey.
Or that was
Yeah.
yeah, that was really fun. That was just me. I was just like, I just remember
You
how
were
I
just
felt.
riffing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just remember how I
It was
felt,
just
and
you,
I was
yeah.
like so on fire in that moment. They were like, "Oh yeah, we're good for the day." I'm like, "No."
No, it's not-
I want to do like, I would do a take and I would change it up every single time.
yeah, it sounds like you.
And I was just like going for it, and they're like, because for that part I was like, "Oh, I don't know what to do," and it's like, just do whatever. And I'm like,
we got to that point, and then we kind of made it
Whatever
almost
you say.
a mini montage of drum parts of the songs prior. So there's a drum fill that was like key in the chorus of Progress Avenue does in that solo, and because we at first we're just like keep spitting out ideas, we'll just comp it after.
Just go for
I didn't even know that.
That would be remind us of that. Be like, you know what, toss it in there, do this and that. But for most that part in like a section, Walking Fire, there's a lot of parts that were just like, yeah, just improv on the stack and like do a little groovy part because I programmed the drums initially and I'm like, I told him there, I was like, to be blunt, I hate this part of what I programmed, so like, reimagine it totally. And he's like, oh shit, okay. And just kind of went for it. And I was like, forget what you know for this part, right? And I was just like, just do it. And he's like,
It was a lot of fun. It was, yeah, I just felt really like on top of my game. I just felt, I mean, I was part nervous, but it was good nerves. I was just kind of like, all right, I just need to like bang these out. It's like, should I be hitting these harder? I don't know. Sure. Boom.
and me and Todd are like, yeah, hit the snare as if you're gonna make it go through the fucking ground. And you're like, I'm hitting it harder. Like, no, you're not.
Harder.
It's like
By the end, I was like,
the best way to write anything is when you write something. It's just like when you've got the nerves full on, like you write the best material.
At the same time, like we want to try not just get the best performance, but like kind of piss each other off a little bit, you know?
That's fair.
Because it's like
I don't get mad.
Well, because you can just do take after take, redo.
he would do like a perfect take, but I'm like, it sounds good, but either a little qualm here and there, but like I'm not feeling it. Like hit it harder, get into it, or just make a little backhanded comment or something, and then he'd be like, what the fuck? And kind of just dig into it or something. Same with Mikey when we were like producing pre-pro like vocals. It'd be like, yeah, I get it, I like the idea, but can you mean it? Can you like sing like so I can feel it and like this and that? Like it's a nice melody, but it's not translating. So, cameraman Mikey, what is yours hardest and favorites?
Okay, it's in manual focus, so now you have to be an art man. I don't know. Overall, it was kind of complicated actually. I think around the summer of, what was it, 2 years ago? Yeah, 2 summers ago, we kind of hit a plateau of sorts. Like we were going to try and find time to record, but we couldn't. Work schedules were stupid. I had just gotten fired. Like there was all kinds of stuff going on. And that was when a friend of mine had thrown the China thing out at me, because I moved off to China after this. And that's another reason why this took so long to come out. But that got thrown at me. I kind of threw that towards the guys. Everything sort of blew up. So I didn't need anybody in the studio yelling at me to make me mad for the takes, because I was already pissed off, and it was already like emotional enough as it was.
So if I can make a quick dark side note, like, because looking back on it now, we can talk about it, we worked it out, but like he kind of dropped the China thing on us, and it was really the toughest thing this band has overcome, because I've had this project in existence for like over 10 years at that point. And I'm like, cool, the album's happening, it all needs to be done as vocals. And he's like, yeah, I might teach you China. And we're like, well, it's not done. And it was enough. To sum it up, it was ugly. We said nasty things to each other. We had ultimatums thrown around, this and that, and just really got underneath each other's skin. And it wouldn't have existed either. As if we had to be in the same room tracking together, we wouldn't have the same album. It might have not even happened. So thankfully, last minute, Todd, who we tracked drums with, had a week for him to come over and just track vocals. And me not be there, being the devil, not even devil's advocate, just being the devil in the room. Like at that point in our friendship, like we quite frankly hated each other for a brief period. Like it was not a good time. It was ugly. And I feel like that kind of lends itself to the process. And even part 3, we that's the only song, the last song we had a pre-production together.
Yeah, we hadn't wrote any of it together.
So that was what we heard, that one brand new. And we just kind of gave him like, yeah, we trust you. Like everything sounded good up till now. And then that song kind of like fucked us up when we heard it, because we're like, at first we're like, is that it? Because there's so many like instrumental chunks in the snap, but then we're like, no, it makes sense. And then the more we digested it, we're like, holy fuck, like this song almost, it's, what is it, like, it's kind of a self-motivating, like, get off your ass and get the shit done, / like, everything will be okay, yeah, I can change, this and that. It's self-motivating / like looking at yourself kind of song, right?
Yeah.
Like being a little more honest with yourself, like
in a way, it kind of ended up being one of these sort of like, I'm sorry, I think it'll be okay. Maybe you guys don't see it from my perspective right now.
It was.
I gotta leave because I gotta do this. Otherwise, I'm gonna keep not getting hired for jobs.
It can be interpreted personally.
Yeah.
And that's why we like these. We felt like it was an internal song written about the band and its own dramas. But then on the surface, it's like, no, everyone can interpret it as their own little thing. It's not a... It was a dark song.
It was a lot.
Yeah.
But I think that might have been my most challenging song, because I was beating myself up over like, why the fuck did Nick write 7 more minutes to this song? how am I gonna write
I
this?
cut it down from 25.
And it was it was like a few nights in a row because Todd and I recorded the other songs and had no problems. I had so much fun recording Walking Fire, the one with the disgusting in the middle, because I think that was the first time I figured out how to low scream, and I was like, shit, this is fun. I had so much fun doing that, and then yeah, every night I would go to sleep and be like, fuck, I figured out maybe a verse of this song because I had part 3 going in my head all the time in the background, and then by the last day I just it clicked, and I don't know. I'm really happy with how it turned out. There was a lot of layers that just kind of worked in the moment. There was a lot of pieces that just fell together. I think I just had to be honest with myself by the end of it, and I was like, okay, this feels right because I'm not trying to force something. I'm just speaking. And yeah, I was happy with how it turned out.
And to not seem like these guys were thrown under the bus for part 3, because it's like, oh, you have to learn it on the spot. You have to write the lyrics on the spot and like figure out the parts. That song for me, there's more parts that exist to it because we intentionally wrote it as a trilogy. Part 1 being the intro, the middle part being part 2, part 3 being the end, and it's all in the same key, minus some like mode changes or whatever. But it's like I remember back even when I first like learned guitar and learned Blink-182 songs, I just fell in love with like the B chord. For some reason, I would like pick up the guitar and just play a B right away, and like that was my like sound check chord. And that's what the album kind of starts on. It's in B flat because we tune in half step, but that's kind of like my go-to home spot on the neck. And so all these ideas, anytime I had to write, a lot of them were based around that. And so part 3, when it came to writing that, I was like, cool, this is the one song that like we haven't played live yet or anything. I had a lot of formations of it, and like they had a lot of instrumental albums released in the past. And there was one song that was 20 minutes long called Adventures of 4 a.m. That's a lot of riffs are from that song. And that song's 20 minutes, so I didn't stutter saying that. And I peeled only bits from that song. And there's a whole bunch of other demos, tons of iPhone videos at 4 a.m. just me playing guitar in the dark and like just dimly lighting the fretboard so I can see what I'm doing. And then I made a guitar profile and I tried to like compile all the riffs as much as possible into it. I'm like, cool, export and see what it comes out to. And it was like over 20 minutes. I'm like, that's not gonna work. That's a fucking EP and a song itself. So like, at the cottage every morning I'd be waking up before tracking that song because we tracked that song at the cottage though, except for the ending. But yeah, I remember like stressing out about the structure being like it's too long, I gotta trim it down. But then I got it down to 15 minutes. I'm like, but I love all these bits, I can't. And then I have to really be honest and like kind of really self-produce and be like, I like it, but does this song fucking need it? And you have to be honest and really hard on yourself and cut it down. And even the last, after that big gold chord at the end, the little instrumental section at the end, that was always an idea I had. I didn't finish it at the cottage, but then I might have told the whole story to you guys, but personally, like, I've never moved in my life, and then this past summer in June, we had to move from the apartment that I pretty much grew up in. We lived there for 24 years, and a lot of the album was written and produced in that place, in the bedroom or in this little basement room we had. And we were in the middle of moving, and that part still had to be recorded because I had a bunch of ideas I never stuck to. So I kind of scrapped most of it. And then literally the day before I had to pack up the studio room, I had the ideas, and I was like, cool, let's fucking do it. And like, it was kind of an homage to the house he grew up in. So that's why it kind of starts all like desolate and sad. And you kind of go through a lot of emotions of growing up in that little 3-minute segment at the end of kind of like all the dark things you experience at home, and then kind of being like, you know, it's okay. And then so that little uplifting part that has the little jangling the guitars and everything sounding happy. But then at the end, the whole concept of the album is like, you know, everything makes sense now. And if only every day can be like this where everything makes sense, it's cool. But then we kind of loop the intro chord to start the album over to kind of be like, cool, it makes sense now, but when you wake up and reset, you got to reconfigure yourself all over again. Like, not every day is going to line up, and you're going to have to deal with bullshit again until you get to that point. But, like, why can't you just wake up again and have everything make sense? So, I think of these songs really, really deeply, because I wrote them all initially instrumental, so he had a tough time probably writing vocals to some of these because they're not linear song structures or verse, chorus, bridge, blah, blah, blah.
Oh, it was so fun. It was so fun to try and figure it out though. Like it was like a happy challenge. I loved it. That's part of why I joined the band. I was like, I need to do something new. I need to do something wild.
Though, if you guys want to, it's a fun story about that. When I was doing the Harris Institute for learning about recording arts, our final project is to bring in a band, and
Oh yeah.
I asked his band, I was like, yo, do you guys have any songs you want to record? You get a 2-song EP for free. Brought him in, and me and Mikey would be the last ones to the studio until like 4 a.m.
Oh yeah.
Just fucking,
Easily 4 or 5. Sometimes the sun was coming up by the time we were done.
just
It was crazy.
Not even like tracking vocals anymore, but just like doing those YouTube binges where you're just like because I remember when I was setting up with this acoustic guitar, and he started playing one song that I was like, yo, you know Lower Definition? Like nobody fucking knows that band. And that's kind of when I clicked and I heard his voice doing that kind of timbre and style, and I was like, that could work. And then like we finished that session, and then I kept texting, being like, nudge, like, hey. Join my band. And he's like, no, I'm not good enough. Your songs are so structured, and like I won't do them justice. I was like, no, I have a feeling. But it's actually really funny though, because I stumbled upon a whole bunch of old, really, really rough demos, and like it's night and day from the final product, because you can tell he was holding back, a little nervous, and like trying to find his footing.
Oh yeah, this album has been a growing experience for me. I think I've changed a lot in the last 3 years that this process has been. Yeah.
But also holding back what you had inside. Some of them I was like, yo, is that even Mikey singing? It's kind of really rough. Like
we grew up. We grew up over this album.
Although there's a note. Did you not like coil it properly? Like,
Jesus.
Wow.
Give me shade.
AV shade over here.
Yeah. It's gonna look real nice. I might like documentary style post this up, just like our interview. This is fun.
The making of.
Yeah, the making of.
I asked the right question.
Yeah. Does anybody else have any like 7-minute tangent questions?
I just feel like
Sorry, 25 and 23 seconds.
I do have more lighthearted, funny stories though.
Tell us a funny story. We got deep there.
Yeah.
We need to
We got some drama.
we need to go somewhere happy for a moment.
Yeah, it's
So
true.
during the tracking of Fire,
It's
that
like
heavier
a pop
song.
punk song. Like you gotta have a happy moment somewhere.
That song's not happy though. Sorry.
It's not.
It sounds like it is.
That's a deception.
That's-
That's a
But
funny
like,
thing though.
think
But
about
that's
any emo night.
Yeah, that's the
All
trick
those
of-
songs
Yeah, hey,
sound
guys.
Yeah.
super happy.
Make sure to request perfectly clear at your local homesick.
Yeah.